The Trap Set will always be available for free, but we rely on donations from our listeners. Please visit our website at thetrapset.net and click donate. Subscribe to our show on iTunes, and if you enjoy what you hear, give us a review.
Hey everybody, it's Joe. It's been just about a month since the first episode of The Trap Set, and I want to thank all of you for making our show a big success so far. But it's only going to get better from here. So if you know somebody who might like what we're doing, please send them our way. That is all. Let's get started. This is Joe Wong. Welcome to The Trap Set, where each week we explore the lives of drummers. I want to play something for you. You're hearing Born to be Loved by Lucinda Williams, featuring my guest, Butch Norton on drums. They say a band is only as good as its drummer. That's true, but I also say that you can judge a drummer by the musical company he keeps. By this standard, Butch Norton is one of the best working drummers in Los Angeles. A versatile player schooled in different traditions of world percussion, Butch found his niche playing behind some of the most respected songwriters of his generation, including Lucinda, Tracy Chapman, Amy Mann, and Fiona Apple. However, he is perhaps best known as a founding member of LA band Eels. I met Butch after checking out a secret Lucinda Williams show that I stumbled on entirely by accident. I already knew that Lucinda is a great singer and a top-notch songwriter, but I was blown away by the band's total commitment. A big guy with a big personality, Butch made his presence felt on stage, while authoritatively laying down the pulse that best served the songs. Now here's my talk with Butch Norton. So you're from the Bay Area originally, correct?
Yes, San Francisco Bay Area is where I grew up.
Which neighborhood?
I grew up south of San Francisco, about 20 minutes on the peninsula, a place called Burlingame.
Mm-hmm.
I was in that area there.
Okay. And what was your family like when you were growing up?
Very screwed up.
How so?
My father was a fraternity guy from the University of Colorado. My mom was in a sorority. That's where they met in the early 50s. And they should have never gotten married because they were both, they had no idea what they wanted in life. They got married. They had my sister and I. And then it was the swinging 60s, and my dad was a swinger. Mm-hmm. He was a salesman. And so he started fucking around on my mom. And there was...
Did she retaliate?
No, she did. You know, it was the early 60s. Women, she did. There was a lot of anger and a lot of fighting in the house when he would be home. But he was always traveling, and he was banging stewardesses.
Right.
So he did. So my parents got divorced about 71, 72, which was a very good thing.
And how old were you then?
13. I was a young teenager. And I was very happy when they got divorced because things weren't happy.
What was your introduction to drums?
Well, I'm 56, so of course...
Ringo.
So
you just basically knew from an early age that
6 years
that's what
old.
you wanted to do.
6 years old, yep.
And you already knew you were a drummer at 6.
I did. I played a lot of sports. I was, loved baseball and football and basketball and all the deals. So I did that, and I excelled. I was very physical and excelled at sports. And it was in seventh grade, the end of my seventh grade year, middle of junior high, when I was asked to perform drum set with the choir. And I was the only instrumentalist with the teacher who was the pianist, and people went crazy when I played. And I was like, I'm digging this.
Had your parents gotten you a drum set at that point?
No, that took forever. I had to chip away. They were hoping this thing would all pass,
Your first kind of epiphany happens when you're playing drums with the choir?
With the seventh grade choir, Mrs. Trexler, I believe was her name, Miss Trexler. That was epiphany. I was still playing football.
Were you playing in bands at that point?
Yeah, I was playing in a garage band. The first band was called Apostrophe.
Like a Zappa thing?
After the eponymous Frank Zappa record, Apostrophe.
How old were you then?
I was 15. After this band Apostrophe, I got in this band called Savory, and it was a 9-piece, 8-piece horn band.
And that was still in high school?
Still in high school, and got good and started working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, end of my junior year, senior year, we were a working band. We were playing most of the proms and the grad nights and making really good money.
So by that point, it was already conceivable that you could make a living playing drums.
I was. That's how I was making my money. The goal of this band was, okay, we're playing grad nights and we're playing, 2 nights a week, but we want to get in the bars and start playing clubs 5, 6 nights a week. Play like this band Clover, which was the famous band up in the San Rafael area with Huey Lewis and all those cats. Right. And we were trying to be like them, do some originals and cover stuff. And then we finally broke into the bar scene and working 5, 6 nights a week, making decent bread and playing. We were one of the top bands around. It was fun.
And no drugs or anything. You were just.
I was. Everybody else was. I was starting to smoke some pot. Oh yeah, I started late. I started when I was about 19. And at this time, I was starting to smoke some pot and realizing this is getting a little crazy for Butch.
Mm-hmm.
A little too much.
So then you stopped?
Well, this is a famous Butch story.
Okay.
The bass player in our band, Randy Silvestro, from up in Santa Rosa, played in a beautiful handmade alembic bass. And he was the uber stoner in the band.
Okay.
And I noticed I'd been smoking for about a year, and it had stopped becoming social for me, and I was now buying pot for myself, and really it was a solo event, and I'm starting to get a little concerned. This is not good. Social, okay. Going insular, becoming, insulated from everybody else, not good.
Mm-hmm.
Randy's not smoking pot anymore. What's up with that? Randy, what's up with you not smoking pot? Oh, well, I go to these meetings up in the Westlake area, which was an area also south of San Francisco, and there's these meetings I go to, and they've been helping me get off the pot. And we talk about all these different things. I'm like, great, well, let me come. I need some help. Okay, great. You can come to this Dianetics counseling group and check it out. So I went up to a meeting with them, and super nice people, and it's Scientology. Buy the book for $5 and sign up for these beginning courses called the communications courses. They're $10 each.
Now, were you raised in any sort of religious tradition prior to this?
I was dropped off at church when I was younger on Sundays, my Episcopal church. But my dad would be at home, planning his next trip with the next stewardesses, and he would be on the lounge in the backyard with the suntan oil on,
right,
listening to the transistor radio, listening to the Giants game, and I'd go, Dad, I'm going to church. He'd go, have a good one, see ya. And my mom would drop us off.
Got it.
So, no.
So this was like the first kind of active involvement in a sort of religious community?
No. It was, I didn't view it like that at all. I was like, how can they help me get off of pot? So I go on for about 6 months doing this, and I stop smoking pot. I start running. I jog in Golden Gate Park every other day. I'm feeling great. Scientology says to me, hey, you need to buy these books. They're $1,500 each, and you need to step it up if you're going to, get involved here. And I'm like, okay, I'm a drummer and I make, $500 a week. How about your parents? Mm-hmm. Why don't you go talk to your parents? Okay. So I go to my parents and I say, hey, I'm doing Scientology. They go, whoa, what do you mean you're doing Scientology? And you're inside, that's a cult. So I go back to Scientology and I say, well, my parents aren't going to help out. They're concerned that I'm being brainwashed. And they're like, whoa. So I go back to my parents one more time, and my parents, my mom, my dad, and my sister, my immediate family is together for the first time in 5 years. They've called a meeting. And now they're saying, we're going to have an intervention. We're going to have you kidnapped, and we're going to have you deprogrammed. We're concerned you're being brainwashed. So I go back to Scientology, and I said, well, my parents are threatening to deprogram me. So now I'm ready to sign up. I'm pissed off. I'm ready to go. They're like, whoa, no, Scientology, you need to disconnect from us now because of everything that's going on in the press. We cannot have any fear, any inkling of
Increased
anybody.
scrutiny.
Any scrutiny of kidnapping. Oh, we can't have it. You have to go. So now I'm up in San. Now I go back down to Burlingame to see my parents, and they're waiting for me to talk to them. And they're waiting they've got some guy who's going to come in, and I'm about to explain to them, okay, I'm quitting Scientology, and they go, wait a minute, Butch, we've decided we're going to pay for your first year of art school
At CalArts.
at CalArts.
So then they sent you down to the epicenter of Scientology for college.
Well, I went to CalArts and started doing mushrooms and acid. It was awesome. It was the best time of my life.
But wait, okay, so the interesting thing to me is, despite its many arguable downsides, it seems like Scientology actually did have some benefits for you at that point.
It totally did.
Have you gone back subsequently?
No.
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 To lure you away from Scientology, your folks agreed to pay for your first year at CalArts.
Get me into CalArts, get me set up, get going, yes.
And how was that experience?
It was one of the most magical times in my life. I went down, I wasn't really aware completely what it was until I went there and saw what was going on, and it was something that was calling me. I mean, I knew the drum set, and I had been studying and knew that pretty well, but I knew there was other things attached before or, kind of off of that, and I wanted to find out about that. And when I met John Bergamo and auditioned, and he talked about African and Balinese and Javanese and Indian and new music and all these things, I said, what's that? He said, you want to come here? I said, yeah.
What year was this?
This was the end of 79. I came in 1980.
So then after school, how did you bridge the gap between being a student and actually working?
And I started working, playing, again, going back to bars, playing in bars, because I knew that and I could get that work really quick. I did that for about 3 years with this husband and wife, and we were a trio called September.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, not so much. It was. They were super, Matt and Kelly Gurman, but we played these dive-ass bars in the Valley and 5-6 nights a week, and I was making some bread, but it was apparent, I could do this for the rest of my life. And I quit after about 2.5 years and got a day job working at 1-800-Dentist, answering phones.
Mm-hmm. I
only went on auditions for original bands, original music. This is the only way I'm going to break out of this. I have to, I want to be a recording, touring musician.
Was there a particular style that you gravitated towards?
I did anything. Country, prog rock, jazz, Latin. I mean, the stuff that that I got, the 2 or 3 things I got out of all this was rock stuff and pop stuff. And then about a year in, I finally met this guy, Scott Fox, and the Mad Dogs, and it was Scott Ardinger, myself, and Tad Wadhams on bass. From that, the bass player, Tad, said, hey, these guys, Lowen and Navarro, buddies of mine, are getting ready.
The songwriters.
Yes, Eric Lowen, Dan Navarro. They had just written this little song called We Belong for Pat Benatar,
right?
Which they had just won, and now they were springboarding that into their duo career. And Tad says, let's get out of here. Let's go audition for these guys. We did. We got the gig, and so for about 3 years, I toured on this one little record in a van with them up until 92, and then I quit during the making of their second record. I quit that session right in the middle of the session because it wasn't going well.
And you were in your mid-30s at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, mid-30s. And we started to do this second record, A Broken Moon, with Lowen and Navarro, songs we've been playing for 3.5 years. And literally, second day into the session, I'd been playing these songs for 3 years, and I told the producer, Jim Scott, of Tom Petty fame and Bob Dylan. I said, dude, I have to quit this session. I can't play anything different for you. I'm just playing the same part over and over, and I can't. And
you were locked in.
Yeah, it was horrible. I couldn't come up with any fresh ideas, and I felt horrible. And Eric and Dan were trying to be great because they knew I wanted to get on a record. And the bass player, Tad, was my buddy. He freaked out in the seat. What are you doing? We're getting on. I said, it's not working. Get David Raven. Bring him back. Bring in some fresh ears. And so I quit. Tad met Wally Ingram, brought him into the Lone and Navarro thing while I was just doing bars again. And, of course, Sheryl Crow sees Lone and Navarro in Texas.
Right.
And says, you're going to be my rhythm section. And Tad and Wally, my buddies, end up doing the ride on the whole first Sheryl Crow stuff.
Was that a difficult decision to make, to jump off the session?
Yes.
Like it must have been pretty comfortable at that point.
Well, yeah, I was sitting there playing the drums and looking in the booth, and no one was happy. It was like, oh, we want Butch to do it, but it's just sounding stale. And I knew that. And, I had to say something. And I quit, Tad and Wally get the Sheryl Crow thing and bail on Lone and Navarro and become, this mega stardom thing for 2 years. And I'm like, oh, too bad I didn't hang in there for 5 more months. But then 5 months later, I meet this guy, E.
That was what, 93?
End of 93, and end of 92. No, excuse me, 93. It would be the September 93 is when we met. You should come and audition. So I went and auditioned, got the gig, and that was for E's second solo record called Broken Toy Shop.
So then, how did the Eels come about?
We were rehearsing the Broken Toy Shop record. This is 94 now. And February, the earthquake hits in Northridge, which is where my house is, 5 blocks from the epicenter. Record company pulls 30 acts from the label, get a call literally 2 days before the tour saying, hey, you've been dropped. Have a nice summer. So E and I go into depression, and out of that depression, E writes this record, Beautiful Freak. And his manager is still with him, Carter, very famous manager. He had just come off of doing Tina Turner's Private Dancer. Carter says to E, you can't go as a solo artist. The AAA format is dead. You need to come up with a band name. You need to come up with a band. What are you going to do? So E comes to me and says, hey, I'm going to start this band. I want to do a band. And he said, but I think I'm going to get a different drum. You're not going to play drums. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? He said, well, I want to get a younger guy, someone more garage savvy. I said, fuck you. I said, I'm your drummer. I know what you want to do. I've heard these songs. I can make this shit happen and be creative. And he's, well, let me think about it.
Was that because he was getting pressure from his management?
Probably. I'm sure it was that. And E and I are diametric 180-degree opposites. So I think he wanted somebody more intellectual like him. Butch, not so much intellectual, more of a vibey, feeling, go for it type of person, creative. E honestly didn't like that I had an art school background, that I was a studied musician.
That's pretty intellectual.
But he wanted someone more raw, just really garagey. That's really what he wanted. And I said, dude, I could do that. And we started rehearsing in my garage in Northridge.
Now, at this point, had the dynamic changed within the band where you would have more input, or was it still essentially E's band?
It was always E's band, and here's where the tension and the friction and the kind of the battle started, because Tommy didn't dig that idea, even though Tommy came in and the songs were done.
Right.
The record was done. We went in and re-recorded a couple tracks, but a lot of the demos, like 6 of the demos were the record. That's what ended up becoming the record. Tommy and I went in and did the other 5, and we retracked and were on that record. But it was basically those demos were the record. It was just astonishing. And Tommy was the one who was really the fighter. We're a band. We got signed as a band. And it's like, I had to tell Tommy, yeah, but no, this is E's baby.
When did it feel crazy? I mean, when did
no, the first
it just kind of took off right away.
Yeah, I mean, we were the first band signed to DreamWorks Records. They put the money into us. That first video, Nova Came for the Soul, was Mark Romanek directed, and was they put a lot of money into that, and they got that on everything. It was on MTV. It was all over the world. It was a very big deal. We went in to start the second record, Electroshock Blues. And that's where everything shifted. E came up with another brilliant record. Just his sister committing suicide, his mother dying of cancer. Very personal. And the manager, Carter, at this time said, we're not putting that record out. There's no hits on this record. We need hits. And E said, no, this is the second Eels record. And E took it to Lenny Waronker at DreamWorks and said, Carter doesn't think we should put this record out, that we should redo a whole new record. And Lenny Waronker said, no, we signed you guys to be artists, and this is the career path you want to take. We're going to back you on this record. So we fired Carter, the manager.
Right.
And Electroshock Blues came out and, commercially did nothing, but created a different thing, which E wanted. And he knew. He was smart. He's going to build a loyal, creative, intelligent fan base of people that get where I'm coming from.
Around this time, you also started playing with Rufus Wainwright. How long did you work with him?
A year and a half. And then I played with him last year. We've been buddies. I did his Christmas show.
By the time you finished playing with Rufus after the first go-round, that was around the same time you were leaving the Eels, correct?
No, I went back and did the Daisies of the Galaxy tour. I think it was around then. Yeah, and then I did the Souljacker record and the Souljacker tour, and then it was right around then, at the end of Souljacker, that's when I quit. Mm-hmm. It was completely a financial decision, had nothing to do with the creative, artistic side. I wish I could have.
So what was your next step?
Moving on. I need to get gigs. I'm viable musician, and I know buddies of mine who are making a lot more money than I am playing tours. And the next thing was, a couple months later, I auditioned and got the Tracy Chapman tour.
What was that experience like? I've heard that she's, extremely picky.
Oh, yeah. She's amazing. Amazing woman. Strong. Artists like Rufus, like E, like many artists I've worked, they know what they want. Tracy knows what she wants. She's funny in the sense that social things are hard for her, which is very common with great artists. But we would do 3-4 hour sound checks every day, and she was meticulous. And she could hear things that no one else could hear, which was fine with me. If someone tells me what to do and they know what they're talking about, I'm fine. Like that song Fast Car. Mm-hmm. She would say, Butch, play me that beat on Fast Car, the hi-hat and the side stick, and she'd go, okay, yeah, the side stick the pitch is too high. Lower the pitch, so you would move the stick down or up to get the pitch higher.
Right.
And she'd go, now move off the bead of the hi-hat stick and more on the neck so it's a little beefier. Okay. And she'd go, now lay off the bass. Yeah, right there like that. So she could hear. She goes, last night you played it like, oh yeah, I did play it like that. Now play it like this.
So did that make you a better drummer, working with somebody like that?
It always does.
Yeah.
And I provided her with what she wanted.
Would anybody else in the band get pissed off at that
Everybody,
level of
all
scrutiny?
the other, yes.
But you didn't care.
We were getting paid really well, staying in 5-star hotels. Tracy Chapman sold out concerts every night, and she would go out to the front of house every day and tune the room with the front of house guy, which drove him crazy. But every night, guess what? Concerts sounded fucking amazing. And I never heard her sing one bad note.
Did you start playing with Lucinda like a couple years later?
A couple years later, and then in the interim, I was doing a lot of sessions, and I did a great record with my friend Tracy Bonham. And then in 2007, got the call for the Lucinda Williams.
Where did that come from?
From my buddy David Sutton, who originally called me to audition for E! He was on the gig already and said the drummer Don Heffington, another amazing drummer, Bob Dylan, Emmylou Harris, wanted to get off the road. This wasn't working for him. And they said, Don's quitting. We're finishing Radio City Music Hall Tuesday. We have a week off. Can you show up in Minneapolis and fill in on start the rest of this tour? I said, sure. When are the rehearsals? There's no rehearsals. Yeah, no rehearsals. Okay. He said, I'll send you 35 songs. I'll send you the board tape from the last show. You can listen to that, and here's the 35 songs, and we'll fly you in, fly your gear into Minneapolis, and we'll start the tour. Okay. So I learned 35 songs. I get to Minneapolis, and I say, well, let me meet Lou. Oh, no, you're going to meet her tomorrow when we walk up on stage, and you'll just go. Okay, the 35 songs I got, that'll be the set list. Oh, yeah.
Nope.
No. So
Were you a fan beforehand?
No, I knew 2 of her songs. So it's the day of the show. We do a sound check, and Doug Pettibone, the guitar player, and Dave, my buddy David, don't worry about it. Yeah, just follow. If something's wrong, just look at me. I'll cue you when to do this. And I'm okay. And I get the set list 10 minutes before the show, and there's maybe 10, 12 songs from the 35 I've learned on the set list. The other 15 I don't know at all.
So was that a conscious thing? They wanted to put you...
No.
Test you out?
No. Lucinda,
that's just what she was feeling.
That's how that's the beauty of Lucinda. So I walk up on, literally, Minneapolis, hadn't seen her, walk up, she walks by me, oh, hey, Butch, nice to meet you, good luck. And we go. And she loved it ever since. It was a great...
And it felt great even though you didn't know half the songs.
Yeah, it was...
What are the tours like with her? Like, are you a tight-knit group, or
yes.
is it professional?
No, it's all about family for her. She treats us like family. It's so much fun. It's a great experience. And she doesn't come to sound checks. She doesn't sound check. She just expects us to be ready, and that she's going to be ready. She walks up on stage and she kills it.
So, I mean, at this point, do you feel like you've pretty much accomplished everything that you set out to do as a young man who wanted to be in bands? I mean, you've played with some of the greatest songwriters of your generation.
No. I have another project called Chop Love Carry Fire right now that is just hobbling along, and it's a very slow process, but it's very much a band where I'm contributing writing and songs, and it's a very interesting thing with guitar player Joel Graves from this band Everest, and my buddy Jeremy Toback, who had a band called Brad in the 90s with what's his name from Pearl Jam. And Jeremy had his own thing, and we've been writing some amazing stuff. So that's another aspect. I want to have my own band.
Mm-hmm. Is it difficult for you to be out on the road supporting another artist for years at a time without having your own creative outlet?
No. That's just another tentacle, as it were, on the multi-headed monster of Butch.
Right.
And then I do a lot of weird, crazy percussion stuff, too. My art school background, Cal Arts, and a lot of ethnic music and a lot of very bizarre things. And I make crazy instruments and stuff like that. So there's a lot of aspects. So that allows me, working with those artists, allows me to do these other things.
All right. Well, it's been really inspiring to talk to you. Thank you so much.
I apologize.
Seems like to me, it seems like you've basically accomplished everything that you set out to accomplish initially, and now you're just going for more.
Yes.
And the fact that you've balanced that with a family and with keeping a marriage together and having 2 kids that are not fucked up is very impressive to me.
Thank you.
The Trap Set is produced by me, Joe Wong, along with Chris Karwowski, who also edits the program. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Trap Set. And visit our website, thetrapset.net, to subscribe to our show for free. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please donate to our show. If you can't afford to donate, please tell a friend and give us a good rating on iTunes. Contact us at thetrapset@gmail.com.